So your parent meeting presentations then include experts with their own knowledge that's specialized, and then a touch the heart component as well to get to people's emotions, information about what affects their pocketbooks. I would imagine that the wide range of information in that way makes the presentations effective for a wide range and variety of people in the audience.
I think so, because everybody learns in a different way. So we have a PowerPoint that we do. We show video clips. We show some crash photos from local crashes that have happened. And everybody learns differently, and they hear things differently. And we have a variety of different speakers sharing that message, hopefully. And oftentimes they overlap in the message that they share. All of our speakers will talk about seatbelts and the importance of seatbelts, but you may not pick up on it from one speaker where it may speak loudly to you from someone else. So I think that is part of the success of the project. Instead of having one person get up and talk for 90 minutes, it is more interesting to listen to a variety of speakers.
I think I've heard you mention once that the uniform factor is important.
I joke about that, but there really is instant credibility with a uniform. When law enforcement or EMS come in and they're in a uniform, people they listen differently. They pay attention, especially law enforcement. And I think that is because there is great respect for law enforcement for most people, and law enforcement has first-hand experience, just like EMS has first-hand experience. It's not somebody else telling them, well, this is going to happen to you or this is going to happen to you. The EMS person can share, last week I was on a crash and it was a 17-year-old male who was driving too fast and lost control, and they can tell the story of their response and the sadness that they saw when the family arrived, the emotions that were involved. And so often when we hear about crashes, we hear about the numbers. We hear about 600 people died here or 300 people died there. And we don't necessarily hear about the individual stories, which the individual stories is when you realize this could happen. This could happen to our family. I think very often people think crashes can't happen to me. And I would say that everyone that's involved in a crash has thought that very same thing.
Safe Communities of Wright County, you started 15 years ago. Now, these days, there are a lot more people talking about the importance of parent involvement for teenage drivers. But I think 15 years ago, that wasn't true. You guys were really ahead of your time.
We were. We've been doing this for 15 years now. The program has been going for 15 years. And so we started doing this at one high school. When we came up with this idea, we approached a driver's ed instructor that had a program at a high school, one of the high schools in our county, and he agreed to do the program, to try it out. And it didn't meet without resistance the first time. Parents' comments when they would check in would be, I already have my driver's license. I don't understand why I have to sit through this class. What's interesting is that those same parents on the way out would stop and say, I can't tell you how glad I am that I was here to find out what I didn't know I needed to know. And that is what's very exciting. And when one school got going, actually we were fortunate that that same driver's ed instructor did classes at another school. So we expanded to a second school, and then we expanded to a third school, and we expanded to a fourth school, and we continued to slowly expand our program, at the same time needing to expand our speaker base because the programs are done in the evenings and our volunteer run with the speakers that we have. The local police departments, sheriff's department, volunteers their deputies and officers to come to our classes, same as the local EMS volunteers those folks to come in and share their time. And so as the program grew, so did the need for volunteers grow. And we were able to do that, and our 5th and 6th schools came along. And what we found is that after that point, we started having schools call us because people started to hear about this program and how important the program was and what a difference it was making for how parents were teaching their teens how to drive, how they were going through this driver's education process. And parents would start to ask, how come our school doesn't do that? So we did actually have schools that called us and said, how can we get this at our school? Which is a very exciting time for us. So we have 9 school districts in Wright County. We are active in 9 school districts throughout Wright County with this program, which is something that's unique across the state of Minnesota.
I think that's a really important message people can take away from this conversation, that it is possible to improve and change attitudes and change the culture about parents and teenage drivers.
Absolutely. We have definitely seen an attitude shift with parents in the last 15 years. And I think it's important to know that we did not have presentations that were not without trouble, that it wasn't always just easy sailing. But what I can say looking back is that it was worth every difficult time that we had, because I do really believe that this has made a difference for families. Families have told us that I do this different. I did not know about the laws, passenger restrictions. I did not know about nighttime driving restrictions. I didn't know about how far the cell phone restrictions went. Those are laws. There are people that, parents that will say, I didn't know that it was important to teach my teen about driving off the shoulder of a road and learning how to regain control. Something that is important in the communities that we live in because of the number of miles of county roads in our county. Those kinds of things are important. Again, that's a local tip. Probably not super important to teach if you're growing up in Minneapolis or St. Paul, but if you're in Wright County, it's an important driving skill to know.